Hi, this is Jody King Colegrove with Quantum Techniques, and we're here with Steve Daniel, and we're doing kind of another interview to talk about today's subject is the immune system and how that is being impacted right now as we're going through the pandemic. But it's something that you always need to have a real strong immune system. So I think it's a great topic to help us know how we can maintain our health and wellness now and into the future. And I'm just kind of impressed lately how it's always been a priority in my life and my parents' life, and I can see that as a priority also in my family. And so I'm hoping that that also becomes a priority in your life too. What we do is we work with people all over the world on the phone, and so that way you can be in the comfort of your own home or wherever you're at, and we can help you find out what's going on and why you're not feeling well and what you can do about it. And so we do that by our QT treatments and our codes that we do. And so we want to kind of explain that a little bit today, because sometimes it can be hard, I think, and sometimes for us to explain. So I think Steve does a great job at that. So Steve, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and explain how QT works.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Stephen Daniel. I'm actually the founder. Been doing this full-time now for 22 years and trained a lot of people, and it's very rewarding and satisfying. And to be honest, QT is the most advanced comprehensive form of energy medicine throughout the world. And the world has never needed QT more than right now.
That's for sure.
And so, QT, unlike traditional medicine, believes that the body was designed to heal itself. Now, when it can't, then there's something blocking it, okay? And I think what QT does remotely over the phone is go through a series of scans. Scans are ways of asking the body questions and using remote muscle testing, finding out what information is missing from the body. How do you get it to heal? When you think about it, most people who are into traditional medicine don't really think much about their immune system. They think, well, if I get sick, I'll go to the doctor and get a medication and I'll be fine. Mm-hmm. If they always have sinus infections, they never ask, I wonder why I have a sinus infection 3 times a year, right, which is usually their diet. Mm-hmm. Okay. So with this work, what we do is we say, is your immune system functioning as a 10 of 10 or not? And how do we get it there? And we look at the different aspects of the immune system. So that's how it works. We scan the body through a series of questions that we've been developing over 22 years, and then we give the information back to the body in what we call a code. A code is a series of acupressure appointments that we create uniquely for each person. And it shows the body, okay, so you've got this virus, and you've got this milk allergy, this is where it's blocking your body, and then get the body to heal. Now, we also have generic codes that we have sent out, the coronavirus code, that are effective for most people. It's a little more effective. It's kind of like, you buy something off the rack. Well, a lot of times it fits, sometimes it doesn't. But if you have it tailored, it fits perfectly. So that's the purpose of a unique individual session, is where specifically in your body is this, and are there other things blocking an immune response, both physical and not physical?
That's a great way. I liked how you said that about the clothes on the rack, because that's a very good visual to help people understand it, why generic codes are good, but doing it more individually is really helpful. Yeah. So what we do is, when we work with someone, is we're finding out through these questions, what's going on with your body, how it's being impacted, whether it's through foods like Steve had mentioned, or bites, or maybe, let's say you've been cleaning with cleaning fluids, and they may enter your mucosal lining in your nose, and so you have an inhalant, or you may have gotten them on your hands, and so it's just your astringents are very, stripping to your skin, and so that is a contactant. Then we also find out if there's pathogens like viruses and bacteria, mold, or it can be a big issue also, and parasites. And so we find those things are what's impacting your body, and then let your body know, okay, this is where they're hanging out and where they shouldn't be in order to get your health back. And then we give you, like I said, a specific code that you can read to help put your body back in a healing state. And every time you read that code, it's like you're retreating your body, like the session we had on the phone. And that really helps your body to be able to clear out and help any sludge and die off that you might be having to help with that. So great. So during this time of dealing with the coronavirus, what do people need to know about their immune systems?
Well, there's actually 4 things that we do. The first immune pathway, and this is, traditional, is immune 1. It's the acquired immune system, where, what happens in this lifetime that may interfere, like virus, bacteria, heavy metals, trauma fields. And this is something that's the immune system that Bruce Lipton is talking about in the Biology of the Belief, that, where your biography, and that's something that Carolyn May said, becomes your biography. Mm-hmm. So if you think about, if I have a lot of unhealed traumas, they take energy. So our acquired immune system is the one that, like right now, if mine tests as a 3 of 10, then I probably am sick and I'm not going to fight off viruses. Okay, immune 2 is the innate immune system, what you were born with. Was that strong? Was that weak? That has to do with, your T cells and killer cells and all that stuff. Number 3, I'm going to mention, and that is, there are man-made frequencies designed to hide information from the body. Anesthesias, amnesics, sedatives. Hey, if I'm having a root canal, I don't want to feel the pain. So, especially things in the neck and head, like a tonsillectomy, sinus surgery, dental anesthesias. Well, those actually block, even though those are gone, if you don't clear those from the body, you may have long-term sinus issues, because again, most of our infections come through our eyes, nose, and mouth and ears. It's not like most of them are not through cuts or urinary tract or vaginal area. That's just not how you get most of your infections. So a lot of times people that have chronic gut issues or chronic UTI issues have an anesthesia, dental anesthesia fields that are letting pathogens hide, where there's this slow drainage from their salivary glands or sinuses down into their gut, UTI, and it never heals. Well, that's easy to fix with a session. Mm-hmm. Okay, then we have what I'm going to call it immune 4. And it was interesting, I was given that this year. And, with the divine, it's always just in time. One of the things I love about Wayne Dyer, before he passed, is one of his statements was, what you seek is already on its way. Well, one of the things that I noticed is that people's immune system, 1, they're acquired and they're innate, were testing as a 9 of 10, but yet they were getting infections every time they left their house. And this is happening to me last year. And so I said, is there a non-physical field hiding the information necessary to heal this? Well, I'd gone through a pretty big loss and trauma in the last year. I've relocated, started my life all over. Well, I had aspects of that trauma that were blocking my immune system. This also happens with detox fields. When I cleared that, and once I showed the body that, they said, oh yeah, your acquired immune system is not a 9 of 10, it's a 2 of 10. Well, that's why I'm getting viruses every time I leave the house. Mm-hmm. So I cleared that. I have not got a new virus or bacteria since. So, and I got over things. So it makes a huge difference. Well, right now, there is a huge fear, panic, terror field, whether that's you're going to get the coronavirus or your family members are, or what am I going to have to live on after this? So that's a huge fear. And that's something that we can clear, boot up the immune system. There's not one code for that, because there's different trauma fields, there's different aspects, so that would require a session. We've sent out the coronavirus code. You're welcome to use that. If you're worried about your immune system, we can boot it up to get it functioning as a 10 of 10, which is pretty important. And that would identify the emotional fields. Are there some foods? Are there some old anesthesias? Are there heavy metals? What is it that allows you to keep getting sick? Now, this also balances the body that has autoimmune disease. So that's how we address improving the immune system. And to date, I have worked with several coronavirus patients. I'm not saying that what I did cured them. I'm just telling you the results. There's probably been 9. 2 were on ventilators, 4 were in ICU, 5 were quite elderly. All recovered within 1 to 3 days. So, I don't live in fear. Now, I do practice, physical distancing. I work at home. That's pretty easy. I mainly walk my dog, go to the dog park. That's pretty easy. I just go get some food. So I'm being smart, and if I had symptoms, I would treat myself. I guess if I got that sick, I haven't been to a hospital since I had a head injury at 13, but I'd go to the hospital. But what I'm saying is, especially if we catch it early, I don't really I have concern for other people. I have concern about our countries and the world and the economies. But in terms of, am I frightened for myself, my clients, my practitioners, my family? I'm actually not, because we can take care of it.
Right. That's exactly how I feel. It's kind of like, I feel like I have this great thing that I understand, and I want to share it with more people. And it's hard not to want to get it more out there. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. And I think, like I said, it's so important that non-physical is identified, because it just keeps kind of falling off, or you keep getting things if that's not identified what it is. And a lot of times it's, emotions about all this. It could be a belief system, like the world's not safe right now. And so that can keep your immune system lowered. It could be an intention where, and this is a hard one sometimes for people to realize, but moms sometimes, well, if I got a cold, then maybe I could rest. And so sometimes we have to kind of really fight, saying, no, I don't want a cold. I don't want that intention, because I want to be able to take a rest for myself when I need it, not have to be sick to get one. And it's a really important intention that we have to clear on some moms and things like that.
Well, one other thing I want to mention is that, long before I was doing this work, I was a clinical psychologist, and my background was psychophysiological disorders. And traditional medicine is known for years and years and years. We're going back 30 years ago, that after a major loss, a death, a divorce, a financial loss, there is a measurable drop in the immune response within 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to mention is I've had 4 people that said, listen, I really want to help my family member, but they don't believe in this. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, make a list of everybody you cared about, read the coronavirus code for everybody at once, like you're sending them a blessing of prayer. Mm-hmm. And I said, secondly, if you're concerned about your family member, and 2 of these were in ICU units overseas, send me their picture. It doesn't have to be recent. I treated them through their picture. It took less than 10 minutes. And again, they were out of the hospital in 3 days. So there's so much you can do remotely. And again, traditional medicine, as we're seeing, it can save your life once you're in the hospital. But in terms of how does it help you how does it help you enhance your immune system so that you're not vulnerable? That's an alternative medicine background, not really traditional medicine in general.
Yeah. So some of the other things that we have found is how important the microbiome is. And the microbiome is any of that internal skin that's, a lot of times mucosal lining is kind of thought of the same way, but it's, your eyes your nose and your whole sinuses and your whole digestive system, and how much the balance of that is going to help you have a strong immune system. And I have done over the years different YouTube videos on the immune system. And what I found was interesting is that if kids are born vaginally, they get washed with a ability for that immune system and microbiome to be very strong. And when they're done through C-section, the kids have a little more challenge of an immune system. And I found that very fascinating, that even what God designed is meant to help us. And I just think that's really important, and how much we do to mess that up, whether it's the foods we intake, glyphosate in a lot of the foods that we intake, and, pesticides and fertilizers, and air quality. And so being aware of how we're maintaining that microbiome in our bodies, both with toxins in our environment, also things to boost it, whether it's herbs and supplements that are really helpful for that. That all helps that immune system be very strong. Another thing that we have found, besides the pathways that Steve was talking about, is there's also immune system pathways that need to be online for your body to be strong. And we've identified quite a few of them, but the first 7 are really important. And so, Steve, I didn't know if you wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about that and how that fits into the first, like, innate and acquired immune system.
Well, there are certain organs and glands that are pretty critical for the immune system. And so you want to make sure that the body's got good communication with all of those. And so we, over time, by testing, we found certain patterns in certain organs' communication. And if those patterns are broken, and again, what the body can see, it can heal. What causes broken communication? Physical and emotional trauma, old pathogens, anesthesias, heavy metals, bad foods, emotional trauma. And so when we check, is 100% of this field online with all immune pathways? It's if not, then we're going to go back and look at those pathways and make sure the body has those online. Usually after we've treated somebody a few times, you put them on the first time, they usually stay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like, again, it's communication with critical organs and glands to maintain ideal immune health.
And I found that sometimes if you test for the whole body, it's yes, but if you have a specific tissue, like you mentioned, like the sinuses or a skin that's not getting well, sometimes that specific area doesn't have all those immune systems online. It's kind of like what we, when we first had a talk like this, we talked about how what happens in your body is there's like a lightning strike, and so it knocks out all the electricity in the house. And so when you're ready to go back in, you flip the breaker, but maybe there were certain breakers that didn't get put back on. And so sometimes those tissues in the body where you've had more blockages, whether it's the anesthesia, the heavy metals, they just aren't back online with the whole body's immune system. So we have to identify those and specifically for those tissues, put those pathways back online.
Well, it almost like, if you think of that metaphor, yeah, I've reset my power panel, my circuit breakers, but man, my washing machine's not working. Oh, the GFI it's plugged into needs to be reset.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, oh yeah, check the power box, everything's good. And then you say, yeah, but what about this cut on my hand? Or what about this issue that won't go away? And the body says, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the GFI's popped on that one. We need more information. What popped the GFI? Right.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about the innate and acquired and how emotional issues kind of impact that. So did you have anything else that you wanted to share about the immune system that we may not have covered yet that will help people understand what they can do to help take care of their health and wellness now and their immune system?
I would say a daily practice of gratitude and forgiveness, because those are probably the 2 most healing frequencies available is, gratitude and forgiveness. And when you hold fear and terror, anger, rage, guilt, shame, resentment, they are huge blocks to being healthy on all levels. So, be mindful of being in gratitude, and no matter how bad it is right now, you have food for today, maybe not tomorrow. We don't know about next month. That's where we have to have a spiritual belief.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, on a personal level, finding a way to experience gratitude and forgiveness in your life every day goes a long ways, both physical and emotional healing.
Yeah. And I think like that awareness, I'm doing a kind of a virtual coffee with some of my friends where we're just taking, some of those earned reward and essential pain feelings of happy, sad, afraid, guilty, and then angry, sad, then the earned rewards of happy, grateful, secure, proud, and then essential pain, angry, sad, afraid, and guilty. And we're identifying those because almost like sometimes we don't realize we're feeling them. And so we, push them down because we're like, well, we shouldn't feel angry or shouldn't feel guilty. And one lady says, I'm kind of grateful for this coronavirus because, my kids leave for college. And this is a wonderful time of that last connection before they leave. And so there's an opportunity here to take what we've been through and to really be able to use it for self-introspection, healing, and to be able to not, or be aware how we're not stuffing those emotions and getting them out. And like you said, that's so important to be able to identify them. And if you have those negative, switch it and be also able to see what you're grateful for and have that balance there. I went around this morning and took pictures of all the flowering flowers in my neighborhood, because I'm in an area where they're blooming right now. And they said that's one of the things that is maybe bothering people, is they can't see those spring flowers right now, and the wildflowers that are coming out. And so I just thought, that would be a great thing to share with people, is flowers, because they were grateful that, life is continuing. I mean, when I go on walks in the morning, the birds are singing, they don't know anything's going on. I mean, they're just happy. And so, we want to appreciate that, or join along with them to appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's so important. Sometimes people don't realize that that's such a simple thing that you can do, but it's so powerful to stay in that gratitude. And, you've really helped me through the years to stay in that gratitude. And there's been times, where I haven't been, and it's been very, dark and frustrating and stuff like that. But always pushing to see the gratefulness, I think, is helpful. And it's funny because I use a term all the time that is not from me, it's from you. And that is, I choose to view the world as a wonderful place of joy, beauty, and love. And a lot of times, we say, well, what are you happy and grateful for? But joy, beauty, and love is a little bit of a shift. And so it makes me always be more conscious and to think through, well, what am I really happy about and joyful about? And so, so it's finding those words that really resonate with you to be able to find that practice that's really helps you connect and be grateful, I think is really important.
Well, and I also think, we are innately created in the image of God. That means we're innately creative. You can aim it, but you can't turn it off. So if all you do is sit at home and watch the news, you're creating fear and terror and anxiety. What about being creative, kind of like Jody's saying with the pictures? Find a way to give back. If that's, getting your neighbors mail for them, if they have trouble getting out, whatever that would be, find a way to give back. And you're seeing so much of that right now that I think it's going to help transform our world's consciousness. We'll go kicking and screaming because, we don't want to lose our discomfort, but this is a time of inner reflection and transformation for everyone who's willing to take the journey.
Yeah. And I've been surprised at the things I've learned. I'm always wanting to read more. And even now when I have a little more time, I'm still not reading. So that obviously was not the issue.
Right,
so,
right.
So being aware of what patterns that you keep falling into, that could be an issue. And then just how it's impacting you. So, yeah. Well, great. Well, is there anything else that you had to share with us today, Steve?
Well, my grandma said something that sticks with me. And she says, there's two ways to be wealthy. One is, this is old school, but be a millionaire. Now we know it'd have to be a billionaire. But then she said, or learn to enjoy the simple things. This is an opportunity to get back to the simple things. Like for me, man, I am up super early. So I watch the sunrise every morning. I walk my dog every day. And I live in a beautiful area in Prescott, Arizona, where I've got, beautiful mountain views from my house and my office. And, saw my first Arizona rainbow. Used to have them in Hawaii all the time, just this week. And right outside my window was a quail, first quail that I've seen on my property, on my fencing, calling early in the morning. And so, just learn to enjoy those simple things in gratitude.
And I think being something that we learned from Guy Finley is to be present enough to hear it. And that takes some practice, to not be so in your mind thinking about things, thinking about the story, but to learn how to be in the present moment. And you say something I always appreciate, where it's like, okay, if I leave this present moment, that's when I suffer. And it could be behind or it could be forward, but it's in that present moment. So just being aware of being aware of our thoughts, trying to be in the present moment, and that's when we can see the quail and the bird singing and be present.
Well, and to add to that, the present moment is the only thing that's real, and it's the only time you heal. What you think about the past is just your imagination. 3 people in the same event have 3 different imaginations of what happened. When you think about the future, it's just your imagination. So the only thing that heals is truth, and the only truth is in the present moment. It's now, everything else is just a belief that you've created.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Jody, what's our special offer we're giving?
So our offer is that if people are concerned that they have come in contact with the coronavirus, or if they have symptoms, then we are giving a 10-minute free session. So you would go onto our website at quantumtechniques.com, and you would sign up for a session request. And then we will test you for 10 minutes to find out if you have it and have symptoms. And like we talked about, put the body back online so that the immune system can start functioning to recognize it and get it to start working again. So that's what we're offering. And you can pick any other practitioners that are on our site to do that. We all know what we're doing. And I've worked with some coronavirus people already and checking to make sure they did or did not have it. And so that's what we're offering. So again, it's quantumtechniques.com. And if you want to work with us even more and get a little bit more in depth with your immune system, in case it has, you feel like you have a weak one, or you know that you've got some other issues like we talked about that you wanted to work on with the acquired, the innate, and also the emotions, then you can fill out a session request, and then you also fill out a client history. And that way we kind of know what you've been dealing with, what surgeries have you had, what anesthesias, what kind of foods you eat. And all that stuff helps us be able to see the full picture of what you're dealing with so that we can help your body get back into a healing state. So we just appreciate the opportunity to share this information with you, and so grateful, and we hope that each and every day you're able to find something that you're profoundly grateful for. Any last thoughts?
Just to say, be safe and well, and we have quantum practitioners on call 7 days a week, at least 6 hours a day. So if you're in crisis, don't wait till the end of the day on Saturday or Sunday, because we do go to sleep once in a while. But feel free to reach out, and we'll do our best to help you.
Yes. Well, great. Well, thank you. I appreciate you listening, and we'll try to do a couple more of these with different topics that you would appreciate and learn from. So thank you, Steve. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Many blessings.
All right.
Take care.